Hello, and welcome to Week 9 of Introduction to Philosophy. Big change this week is that all work is due by Friday. This week, we will be discussing Machiavelli and his work, The Prince. After the fall of Rome in 476 AD, Europe fell into the Dark Ages, a period when might made right and the Greek and Roman ideal of democracy ceased to exist. During the Renaissance, these ancient ideals of democracy were reborn, and people returned to the writings of Plato and Aristotle. As European societies experienced these dramatic changes, economically, scientifically, and politically, these societal transformations were urged on by the thinkers from the period of history called the Enlightenment. Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau developed and refined the idea of the social contract. But prior to when the concepts of equality and the sharing of political power became the trend, an Italian government bureaucrat wrote a short manual called The Prince. In this book, Machiavelli outlines a strategy for maintaining political power by whatever means possible. Machiavelli was a career bureaucrat, and when the Medici were expelled from Florence in 1494, he attained the position of the second chancery of the Republic. However, by 1512, Florence was invaded by Spanish troops, the Republic was taken down, and the Medici family put back into power. Within a year, a Medici had risen to the papacy. Machiavelli is ousted from office, accused of conspiracy, jailed, and tortured. And while these accusations are more than likely false, he, after this, retires to the family farm outside of Florence because he is denied the government work he so desired. In an attempt to prove his worth to the Medici, he writes The Prince and dedicates it to the ruling Medici. Upon its publishing, The Prince briefly receives a favorable reaction, but eventually the church deems it a handbook for atheistic tyranny. Later on, it spreads through Britain via Shakespeare and Marlowe, who were fans. Today, the term Machiavellian is related to Machiavelli, obviously, but we've used it to describe duplicitous, often evil, cunning people who operate in bad faith. At some point, after you've read The Prince and completed the reading guide, I'd like you to make your way to Packback and answer this question about what leaders, real or fictional, could be considered Machiavellian. You can complete that Packback at any time, whatever's most natural for you, but I would assume it has to be after you've read and done the reading guide. And as to the work for this week, it's all going to center around Machiavelli. If you look in the Week 9 folder, you'll see the complete text of The Prince, the Prince chapters that you were required to read, 16, 17, and 18, the Packback link, the Machiavelli Advice Project link, and the optional assignment, Who's Afraid of Machiavelli Film and Guide. You should complete, before this weekend, the Prince Chapter 16, 17, and 18 reading guide. Read these 3 chapters and please answer the questions. When you're done, you're going to work on your Machiavelli Advice Project. With this project, you're going to take what you've learned about Machiavelli and apply it to a leader. It could be a fictional leader. It could be a real leader. It could be the President of the United States. It could be a volleyball coach. It could be a Pokemon tournament champion. It could be Harry Potter. But you're going to apply the advice of Machiavelli. Don't get caught up in what your character would or should do. More, what would Machiavelli advise them to do? And again, you've got an optional reading there where you can read the entire text of Machiavelli if you're looking for advice outside of our 3 chapters that we read. You may find a connection between who you want to write the pamphlet for, based on what you talked about in the class packback, but it doesn't have to be the same person. Also, there's an optional assignment on there, a documentary, Who's Afraid of Machiavelli? It's really quite good. I'm not sure if you have the time in your schedule to watch it, but if you choose to watch it, there's an optional guide here where you can earn points for completing the guide while watching the documentary. I think it's really well done and worth watching, but again, entirely optional, and I know we're all busy, and it's the end of the 9 weeks, so this is optional. You do not have to do it. Thank you. Again, please make sure all work is submitted by lunchtime on Friday, and thank you again for a great first 9 weeks.